Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, the most trusted podcast dedicated to the new business of location. It is time for This Week in Location-Based Marketing. This, my friends, is episode number 155. We're doing this live on Sunday night. That's November 10th, 2013. My name is Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv, located in snowy Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. It happened. Asif, what about in Toronto?
No snow here. It's not bad, actually. It's been okay. A little bit of rain, but we're doing okay. Yeah, Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association. Happy to be home for at least another day. And
At least another day.
And like you're showing me up here, Rob. You got the big red Canada shirt on. I got this thing here, and before I forget, because this will air tomorrow, to all those people out there who have someone who fought in the war. Or in a war period, or still fighting in a war somewhere out there, we're thinking about you. And happy Remembrance Day, I guess.
No kidding. It's a I was upstairs with my kids earlier this evening, and one of my sons, Jack, is actually going to be in the they have a gathering tomorrow, obviously, a recital. And they're doing in Flanders Field. So I said, okay, Jack, just, what do you have to do? And they say, well, the class has to recite in Flanders Field. And they do it from memory. And I said, okay, Jack, go ahead. And he did it from start to finish. And I was so impressed. It gave me goosebumps. This little kid, he's 7 years old.
Yeah.
And he nailed it. And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know the words from Flanders Field.
You know what? We had to do that too. And I still remember it from drilling through that as a kid.
I must have skipped that.
Yeah.
That was grade 2. So that's when I stopped going to school. I skipped in grade 2. Yeah. I was out there smoking.
Yeah. Well, we're here because somebody else fought for us. So
yeah, exactly. Yes. So take a moment today. Take a moment this week and reflect. And we're going to give you a few stories about has nothing to do with this, but we're going to give you a few stories that you can also reflect on for your business. That was the crappiest transition. You should know that I've just come back. Literally, I spent this entire weekend at something called UX Camp here in Ottawa. It was, 450 UX professionals. These are the guys that are building the next generation of interface. And I mean, I got to tell you, the keynote, the final keynote this afternoon, it was unbelievable. Jesse James Garrett. So this is the co-founder of a company called Adaptive Path in San Francisco. He is the guy who coined the phrase Ajax. And he put on a 1-hour clinic, man, on how to do a presentation. He gave us an incredible insight. Like this is guys like, if you think of Malcolm Gladwell, the equivalent of Malcolm Gladwell in the UX world, this guy was unfreaking believable. Jesse James Garrett. And you've heard of him. Everybody's heard of him. But this is the first time I've seen him live. And he came in from San Francisco, and he was unbelievable. And so were the other, I think there were 18 speakers that were in this thing. I got to be the MC, so front and center throughout this whole thing. And I was absolutely astounded. I think that Ottawa is in a unique position with these things because it could actually hang its hat on something like a UX. It could be like a center of excellence for UX. I just believe it. And we had people from Hong Kong and Vancouver and in San Francisco, obviously in Boston and Chicago, come up to this event, and it was unfreaking believable. And it's put on by 3 co-chairs, Cornelius, Tanya, and Barb. And I cannot believe that 4 years ago it was like 20 people in a cafeteria, and 4 years later we're doing it for 450 people inside of the Museum of Civilization. Awesome. It was unfreaking believable. And awesome. I have to say hello to Lena if she's listening to this. Biking to work, probably not on Monday in the snow, but Lena, if you're listening, thank you so much for listening. And boy, do I ever appreciate the fact that you rallied all those volunteers inside of this event. It was incredible, but I'm exhausted, man. I'm so tired. I gave everything I could. So, and I'm giving the last bit of my energy to this podcast, and I'm going to fall asleep probably on my keyboard.
Well, like you, I mean, I had a great week too. I was in Florida for a bit of it, but honestly, the highlight of my week was going up to Edmonton, Alberta. There was snow on the ground. It's cold as heck. Sounds sort of like Ottawa, but even colder, I think. And but man, what a great event put on by the Advertising Club of Edmonton. Came in to do the session for them that night, and there's like 100 people plus there, and just phenomenal engagement. Like these people, they knew what was going on, and great questions from the audience on the session. So kudos to Edmonton. Thanks to Paul and Sarah. And Michael and the guys who put that together. Great event. Thanks for having me out. Happy to come back up there anytime and connect with you guys as well. And one other shout out, which is this guy Dave Moses from Nomad. Sent me a note a few weeks ago, and these guys launched a new product at TechCrunch Disrupt. And they watched the show, and they wanted to let us know about it. So they even sent me one. They even sent me one here. You see this right here?
Wicked.
This is called the Charge Card, and they also have one called the Charge Key, which is a smaller version than this that fits on a keychain. But basically, if you can see that there, it's like a credit card size thing, thin, fits right into your wallet. And it's got a little connector for an iPhone 5S, type thing here. So you take your phone and you just simply plug it in like this. And then it's got the USB connector. So you don't have to carry around a cable, basically. You just carry this thing in your wallet and you're ready to go at any time. And there's even a keychain version as well called the Charge Key. And check that out. Nomad. Is the company. And its website is hellonomad.com.
I will be joining. I will take a look at that. hellonomad.com.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you get at least one sale. You get one for me anyways. How's that?
There you go.
Yeah. And you have some stuff that you've got. You've got one event for the LBMA that we should promote before we jump into the stories?
Yeah. So quick shout out to a bunch of things here on this too. So I'm traveling again as usual this week. I'm in New York on Tuesday for a hotel industry event. And then I'm in Dallas on Wednesday for American Airlines. I'm doing some stuff for them, but in the evening, on Wednesday evening, if you're around, the Social Media Club in Dallas is hosting an event with our good buddy Jay Baer. Everybody knows Jay. He's got a book out called Utility. That's YOU, as in you're the center and the utility. Check that out. So if you're in Dallas, come out Wednesday night, the 13th, and then on Thursday, the LBMA Singapore chapter is hosting an event. I won't be there. Can't make it over to Singapore.
Can't do it, eh?
That
Just
fast,
can't do it.
But a great event nonetheless, being put on by our team over there. And I know American Express and a whole bunch of other people are involved with that. So check it out. All that on the LBMA website and more.
Always busy, man. Always busy. Well, I've had a couple of weeks where I felt like a CFCon when I was into Cincinnati, and then I got into Toronto, and then I got to be able to do this thing, and it was just across the river in Gatineau, but still, it was a very busy couple of 3 weeks for me, and I felt if this is what it's like, get me the hell out of it. If this is what a CF's life is like, man.
Oh,
yes.
Man.
And that's
Anyhow, we got a big show.
We do. We have a giant show. We have obviously our 6 stories, key stories this week. We have our special guest is Janet Hawkins of Opterus. I got to sit down with her, and we talked about Bruce Springsteen and Sting, which was incredible. And we talked a little bit of location and about her business as well, but mostly about Bruce Springsteen and Sting, as you can imagine. We've got our resource of the week, which is a great infographic. And of course, we have our app and our mobile minute, which is what we're going to kick it off right now. This is obviously with Chuck Martin. We're going to be looking at the Mobile Customer Service Challenge. Boy, consumers, man, we want the lowest price. We have high expectations about everything, including customer service. And boy, oh boy, retailers, big opportunity for small retailers to get in here and just service the hell out of the customers. So here is the Mobile Minute with Chuck Martin about the Mobile Customer Service Challenge. Here we are back again for yet another Mobile Minute. All right, so let me get this right. We expect better pricing, we expect unending inventory, and now exceptional mobile customer service. Are we getting spoiled as mobile consumers?
We certainly probably should be. A new study, this is a monstrous study of 13,000 customers in more than 30 countries across 10 industries done by Accenture. It's called the Global Consumer Pulse Survey. What they found is when you look at just the mobile aspects, which is kind of where I dug into, but 51% of consumers switched companies during the last year because of poor customer service. So people are switching. And when you look at mobile, the majority, 56%, expect more options for obtaining service and support by phone from their mobile device. 40% in the US, 50% globally find it frustrating to have a company's online channel for customer service not optimized for mobile. 38% in the US, 47% globally looking at customer service find it frustrating having a company's online channel for customer service not optimized for mobile devices. So the customers are seeing that the retailers who aren't doing it.
So this says to me that there's huge opportunity for retailers, maybe smaller retailers, to come in there and really do exceptional customer service and win customers from the big guys. Am I wrong there?
No, you're totally correct. What they have to do is they have to do exceptional customer service, and they have to do it optimized for mobile devices. That's the real key. It's really moving good customer service onto mobile.
Yes, we consumers want everything, including good customer service. Shame on us, right? Shame, shame, shame on us.
I know. We're so demanding.
I know. It's crazy. We want the lowest price. We want everything. And, oh, by the way, we want to be serviced. Yes. Yeah. Damn consumers.
Do all that, yeah.
All right, Asif. Well, listen, I thank Chuck Martin for being a part of this, allowing us to use this, and of course doing this with me every week, man. He sits down, we do 5 of these, we bang it out in 20 minutes. It is the most amazing thing. We're cresting 200, almost at 200 now. We've recorded 200. I haven't published them all yet. So please go and take a look at those. They are valuable, and they're less than 2 minutes. Like, you've got 2 minutes in your day. Go and learn from Chuck. He's a brilliant mobile strategist. So
indeed.
That's the Mobile Minute.
All right, so this week we've got an app. It's called Knock, as in knock knock. Who's there? Knock. This is an Apple iPhone app, and connects. It's actually a bridge between your iPhone and your sort of Mac desktop or Air, your Mini or your MacBook Pro or your Air. So it's a relationship between Mac and the phone and the iOS. And basically, what they're doing is they're using Bluetooth Low Energy that's on the device and also exists in the Mac software. So you've got to be on iOS 7 to do this. And the app is not free. It's $3.99 for this app. So a bit of a price point to it, but it's kind of cool. So basically, what it does is by using Bluetooth Low Energy, you basically just knock on your phone. You tap your phone like this, knock, knock, and it basically unlocks your Mac. So you don't have to key in anything like a password or anything on your Mac to gain entry or to kind of wake it up, if you will. So kind of interesting. Would you use this, Rob?
I think, as we go through this world of, password challenges and, sat down with the guys from NIMI and BioNIM and these multiple ways of getting into things, I think that what this device has done with fingerprint or finger scanning has kind of made everybody a little bit more conscious and a little bit more aware. I never had a passcode on my phone until now, right? So, I think that now I'm looking at ways that I can accelerate this process of getting onto my machines, but doing it in a secure way. And whether that's the NIMI from BioNIM or something like this app, Knock, I think at least we're trying these things, and I think you'll have a lot of people say, it's not secure at all. It's a limited feature set, but you know what? I'm willing to give it a try. I bought the app, and I'm going to give it a try on my.
I mean, I think $3.99 is a bit rich, honestly, in today's price point. But $1.99 for something like this,
free.
Yeah.
Like what would be interesting? Like if you could, like, maybe a better business model for them would be to say, listen, free for one machine. Right, $1.99 to enable a second or a third or a fourth machine based on what you need, right? Something like that.
Yes, maybe, but I sort of get it in the sense that they're not going to be running ads on this thing and whatever. I mean, this is a pretty limited use case in terms of the revenue model, but so I see why they're going for something more than free or 99 cents, but
it could be limiting, and if this is their end game product, right? Like, when you're trying to build a business, you can't just build a product that has one feature and then that's it, right? So my hope is that, but you need a stalking horse. You need something. You need a way to get it on the device.
You gotta have that door. That foot in the door.
You do, and I like that. And I interviewed the guys from from Shine, right? Which
Yes.
is Misfit Wearables. They do the Shine, and they actually sent me one. I can't wait. And I mean, I love this. I love these devices.
Lucky dog.
Yeah. But these guys, you know, we have this conversation. It's an episode that'll go live soon, but it's really about, really clearly about multifunction, right? And what's the thing that's going to get it on your wrist and get you using the software? And I think that's where things like, you know, Knock, if that's it, and they want to make their $1 million from that, they're not going to do it. But it's a neat application, I think. But this thing can do that, right? So you've got to think that there's got to be some more behind Knock to be able to do it. But you know what? I spent the $4. I'll give it a try. I'll let you know what I think. You know, I support these software developers. You have to.
Yeah, for sure.
So go and buy it. Knock. Very
All right,
cool.
Knock.
I mean, I think a location play on Knock would be amazing, right? So that, you know, that's the second tier of authentication, is that you know that I'm in my house, and in fact, I'm standing in front of my computer, and then automatically turn that on. I don't care, right? So anyway, that's Knock. Lots to go.
There you go. All right.
All right, what do you say? We're going to jump right into this, man.
Let's do it.
6 stories.
Story number 1.
All right. So what would you believe that there's a indoor location chip that can actually locate things up to with a 10 centimeter accuracy? Like, that is crazy. Like, 10 centimeters is literally that much, right? So this company, Decawave, launched this indoor location chip with a 10 centimeter accuracy. It's at decawave.com. And it's a new chip that actually does that, right? It's an indoor location chip, and it can provide accurate positioning, like accurate positioning within that distance inside of a business. And this is fascinating to me simply because it is, I'm going to assume that that's as close as we've come to, you know, spot on location when it comes to indoor location and this technology. Am I wrong there? Have you heard of anything like this?
No, I think you're right. And, you know, this stuff just keeps getting better and better. It seems like every month there's somebody that comes out with something that's, you know, slightly, you know, more accurate, more finite in its ability to, you know, to kind of get down to, you know, to smaller and smaller increments of what we can do. So now we're at 10 centimeters. So this thing, by the way, is called the Sensor wireless chip family, which is spelled SCENSOR.
Yes, with a capital S, 2 capital S's. Yes.
Yeah, 2 capital S's. So I think this is interesting. I mean, this creates a whole new level of indoor location capability. And if you remember, a few weeks ago when I was in San Francisco, I had a chance to go and sit down with the Estimote guys at their office.
Yes.
And they showed me, and I think I mentioned it on the show, but they showed me kind of the next generation of the Estimote beacon as well.
That you can't talk about.
Yeah, I can't say a lot about it, but we're playing in the same ballpark here, which is you know, very, very finite accuracy, you know, down to that same, you know, under a foot. You know, whatever that, you know, however accurate we want to get around that, and that's where we're going to go. And so what that means, without, you know, saying anything, you know, more specific than that, but what it means with things like this, and with where Estimote's going and where others are going to go in this space, is that today indoor location is about tracking the movements of people in stores, the analytics that we can gain from that, how do you leverage that, and in some cases it might be, you know, influencing purchase decisions and behavior based on, we know where you are and what you're standing in front of and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But this next level where we're getting to this kind of accuracy now under a foot, could mean that we can actually track product movement as well, right? So, you know, if this sensor, if this chip is attached to an actual product, like an RFID chip, okay, or something of that nature, then not only can we track the movements of people and relationships to where they are in the store, but we can actually track the movements of items and products in that store. Yeah. So if somebody picks up a jacket, you know, and it's got one of these sensors on it, and they take it to the change room and they try it on, right, and then they don't buy it, they put it down. That can be tracked potentially with this level of accuracy.
That's crazy, man.
And that's where we're going, right? And then you see they put it down, and maybe that's when you send out the offer to say, well, you know, how come you obviously liked it, but you didn't put it in the shopping cart, you know, and maybe we can influence that with a discount or something else, right? So, you know, I think that's where we're going with this kind of stuff, is this very, very finite ability to kind of get down to that product level. And really, really influence behavior.
This is so fascinating, you know, especially when you put it in that context, right? It's going to take retail to a completely different world, and I think that when you start to combine this with in-store screens and the ability to trigger that transaction, as you said, boy, that changes the game, and it's amazing how it works. It's basically wireless signals like the Estimo, right? What we talked about, and so it sends a wireless signal to the readers that use them to locate a tagged object within 10 centimeters. So that's the proximity that it picks up, and it's the great thing about this is that the chip can operate for years on one battery. So it can be embedded in places like warehouses. It can either replace or complement, as you said, RFID. You know, it allows for more very specific, minute-to-minute, up-to-date location information for everything. High-value goods. Say you have like I don't know, $1 million necklace, right? And if you do, you should be sponsoring this podcast. But if you have $1 million necklace and this is something that would be able to track that, because you could know that the battery wouldn't run out for years and years and years. And this is what's fascinating about this is that they're going after healthcare first, so they're going after big industries, factory, automation, warehouses, and agriculture industries. And I think agriculture for me is like when you look at the food chain, right? Is that where the food starts and where the food ends up is so important, and they're tracking it by barcodes now. Maybe this can actually help in real time, and then eventually they'll get into small size once they get lower price, lower price chips, and they can make all the way into automotive and mobile devices and. God,
well,
so
you know,
cool.
and I don't want to sidetrack too much here, but you just reminded me of something when you start talking about food and agriculture.
Yeah.
When I was at RAMP, at the Retail RAMP conference, one of the exhibitors, one of the sponsors is Digimarc, which is the digital watermark company, the security company around that. And one of the things that they were showing is a replacement on food packaging for the barcode with actual, product watermark, like image instead of barcode, right? And that is interesting because in some respect, it's the same level of, sort of ability to track, the movements and the authenticity of the product and all things like that. So this is an exciting space. It's just an emerging thing now when we can get down to product level accuracy, in-store, out-store, the movements from manufacturer to retail, all that. So I'm excited about this. So this is pretty cool. Decawave.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So Decawave, if you're interested, go to decawave.com. And there are more than 1,800 firms and institutes have expressed interest in using this technology. And you can imagine why. As we've said, I think that this, like just from a food chain thing and a manufacturing and a warehousing side, my favorite company on the planet, maybe Amazon, could use this kind of technology a little bit more for their automated warehouses as well. So it's amazing what we're seeing now, and as you said, we are accelerating the location. 10 centimeters to me is probably proximity wise, that's basically right, spot on. 10 centimeters is literally that much. So decawave.com, amazing.
All right, number 2 story of the week is. From my good friends at Tesco over in the UK. I love these guys. As a retailer, it's hard to find a retailer that pushes the boundaries as frequently or as much as these guys do. And so this is now at Tesco. So they're a big retailer, but they also operate a lot of gas stations and convenience and things like that as well. And so this is around the gas side of the business. 450 gas stations. Where they've launched face scanning technology now. So this isn't facial recognition. This is face scanning. I want to be very, very clear about the distinguishing those two things. And so the idea is that while you're waiting in line to pay for your gas, these cameras effectively are scanning your face, and they're determining age and gender and things like that. It doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know anything like that. It's not recognizing you from past or anything like that. It's just scanning your face, determining your approximate age and your gender, and then serving ads, based on that data in real time. Pretty cool stuff.
It's amazing. They said the potential reach for this is 5 million customers with these 450 gas stations, and that's quite the reach. And they're using the technology from AmScreen. this new technology that they've come up with, which is Optimize, and it's Optim Eyes. And you can go to amscreen.eu for more information about those guys. They do push the boundaries. And when they're not pushing ads, they're going to be pushing news, weather, and sports to you, as well as basic, tailored, targeted ads to you based, as you said, on your age and gender. I think that this is they push the boundaries. And they get away with it, right? So they are basically the canary for this industry to see if they can get away with this and the impact that it has.
So I mean, on my side, I like this. I think this is this is what we talk about every day, right, at the LBMA. So for me, when I see the retailers like this stepping up and making these investments and pushing these boundaries, I smile because it's somebody that I don't know if they listen to us or not.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
But at the end of the day, this is what I'm talking about in all the talks that I'm giving, and so I love when I see this. I love when I see and I love that they go to great lengths to say this is not facial recognition. We're not storing data on anybody. We're not collecting data on anybody. We're simply using real time data that we gather, not about you, but about your age approximation and your gender approximation. Well, hopefully it's more than an approximation on the gender side.
Androgynous. Hey, it's Pat. We'll just throw up a whole bunch of Doritos,
and serving an ad that hopefully is relevant based on that on those two pieces of data. So I think this is great. I think more retailers need to step up and do this stuff.
You think that there's going to be a point in time, Asif, where they start to think like, we're going to not just age and gender, we're going to put height and weight in there, and then we're going to start to tailor it a little bit more specifically. And does that make us nervous around that kind of profiling?
I don't think so. I mean, like 3 years ago, I remember seeing I was at a NR presentation, and they were showing a digital signage display system that they had, and it had a camera mounted on top of it, built right into the system, and the camera was doing exactly this. It was face scanning, and it was looking at gender, it was looking at age approximations, and it was also looking at the how that person was dressed. And it made some approximations based on that, right or wrong, on trying to estimate a demographic around income.
Wow.
And so it could look at it and say, hey, look at this guy, Rob. He looks like he's about 23. He's obviously male, 23. And he's got, this great Canada T-shirt on. He's a perfect, candidate for his favorite store, The Gap, right there.
Exactly. That's not far off. And when you think about what Decawave is doing and the life cycle of the product and these affordable chips that you can put into all of our clothing, and at some point, all this data, I don't want to sound Orwellian, and I don't want to scare anybody, but at some point, all this data ends up somewhere in some kind of schema or something that we can read. And then the next time you go into Tesco, it realizes, hey, listen, that car, it's scanned because of the chip. That, the blazer that I'm wearing is scanned because of the chip. And then my height, my weight, whether you have an athletic build or you don't have an athletic build, you're tall or you're short, you have hair, you don't have hair, you're man or you're woman, and then the type of gas you're putting into your car, and it paints a picture about you from a retail landscape and a demographic, and then they start pushing those products to you that are more in line with what you would expect. So gold and diamond rings and those kind of things, right?
Absolutely, Rob. I can just see a lot, like the big gold chain. Exactly. That's you, isn't it? Come on, man.
Yes,
you just need that New York Yankees hat turned a little bit to the side with the tag hanging off of it. Come on, Rob.
The pristine hat that I wear a baseball cap to cover the hair, when I go grocery shopping. But I love the guys at the gym who pull it down over their eyes, and then they actually have to look up like this to see the weights. And I just say, dude, lift up the hat.
What I cannot, for the life of me, bring myself ever to do, it doesn't make any sense to me, is, I wear a baseball cap, same as any other guy, right? But, I cannot have the straight brim. I have to curl that. I cannot do it. I don't know how, I don't know what that's about.
We're old school.
What is that?
I don't know. But I work on the rim. I work on that thing.
I know, me too. I can't have that perfectly straight thing that there's never been, come on.
Think Bruce Springsteen, Glory Days, that video where he's got that beat up baseball cap, and that's the inspiration, right?
There you go. All right.
Man. So how do we get there? How do we get there?
I don't know. Onto your favorite company, Amazon. Let's go.
All right, our third story. Amazon single-handedly, it's going to be the most valuable company, far greater than eBay. It's going to be, it's raking in the cash. It is a company that has a long-term vision. Jeff Bezos is the greatest businessman on the planet. So with that in context, I'm going to talk to you about what they're doing right now and moving towards location-based
That's not going to get you any free product, Rob.
I know.
So we're clear.
I just want groceries.
Okay.
Just like sponsor the show,
on,
Amazon. Send us some groceries. You don't have to give us any payments. Just give us some groceries.
Look, if I get on here and talk about Virgin Galactic, does that get me a trip into space?
Sure does.
Okay, all right. I'll do that.
The chief angel investor for two of the companies that I ran, Magmic and Rove, his name is John Criswick, and he doesn't mind this, is actually bought a ticket on that right when they went on sale.
I'll totally do it, man.
$200,000 tickets, grazing the stratosphere. It's an amazing thing. You see the parabolic arc of the Earth, and so he's doing it, and I think it's a year this coming summer. So I'm absolutely bound and determined to get down to the desert to watch him blast off. I can't wait. If you're interested in that,
Amazon.
Yeah, just do a search for John Criswick. But
sorry, man, I keep distracting you.
Yeah, no more distractions. Amazon, they're moving. Their payments are moving into location-based ads, and I think this is a logical thing. Like when you buy a device like this, based in the operating system, there is a location and there's an advertising option that actually pushes you location-based ads based on your location where you are and your history. Right? It's built into this. You can turn it off if you want. It's built into Android. I don't know if you can turn it off, but I'm pretty sure you can. And then there's an app layer that happens as well, where shopping apps do the same thing. They ask for permission to actually send you alerts based on your location. They do all of those things. So Amazon is getting into this. Amazon made some changes to its privacy policy and user agreement and authorized transaction policy informing users Amazon will serve up location-based services, including ads. And this is a logical thing. So you download the Amazon app. It will in turn ask you if it's okay to use your location to push you ads based on your location, your purchasing behavior, and maybe even the store that you're in, and it'll push you relevant ads so that it'll drive you into Amazon. Now, the way they do this, they throw a unique identifier on your device, and they go to town. Now, this is the one key thing that I'm interested in. This is that it's not only their apps, but it's also all of their subsidiary apps that come through Amazon. So this could be a whole bunch of apps this could be maybe a precursor to this app ecosystem for e-commerce like they've done, or mobile commerce like they've done with e-commerce and their Amazon stores and their. But everybody hugs off of EC3. Everybody's using them as a cloud service provider. Is that included in a subsidiary? And all of a sudden, you've got these tentacles of Amazon in quite a few mobile commerce and mobile apps and devices. And I think that this is part of their infiltration, and domination of the world. And now I know there are some concerns. There have to be some concerns about this because anytime anybody offers something like this, there's got to be some pushback. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some ambiguity in this in terms of what's included in that ecosystem, right? Yeah. I think that's absolutely bang on. I will give credit for spelling this out nicely in this privacy policy. Very, very clear on what they're collecting. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily where it's being collected from, but what they're collecting is very, very clear. I mean, I read this thing carefully, and it says, I'll read it. It says, when you download or use our apps we create or are created by our subsidiaries, we may receive information about your location and your mobile device, including a unique identifier for your device. We may use this information to provide you with location-based services such as advertising, search for their personalized content.
I don't think that there's a may there, Asif. I think that it's like may means will.
Yeah, of course. And then they go on to tell you that you can disable your location services, if you don't want this. But at least they're telling people, right? I mean, there are lots of companies that we know of, Rob, and we've talked about on this show that don't tell people that they're collecting this stuff. And so I think this is a good move. I guess they do this annually. They were saying this update to their privacy policy.
Yes.
I was reading that. It's an annual notice that gets emailed out to payments holders. I don't know. I'm an Amazon payments holder. I didn't get an email notice. Did you?
No, I'm not an Amazon payments holder, man. I keep
I don't recall getting any notice. But anyhow, I'm aware now.
Yes.
And
how does it make you feel as a consumer, as a user of their products?
I'm okay with it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're telling me what they're doing. I can choose to opt out.
Yep.
My only thing is what you already pointed out. I just don't know how far this reaches beyond Amazon proper,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's going to reach quite far because there's a way that Amazon is going to be the most valuable company on the planet, and it has to do these. It's built the infrastructure to be able to do it. It doesn't mean that I agree wholeheartedly. They have to be a little bit more specific about it. And warnings are good, and pop-ups and notifications as you're installing people's apps. And we always say this with complete. I mean, Asif and I approach this really from an industry standpoint as cheerleaders of this industry, but you who are listening to this very clearly have to make a decision about whether you want this or not. And we implore you always to weigh the options. If you don't want it, turn it off. And you have those options. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, don't download these applications. Just it's that simple. But from our perspective, we want to move this industry, and it takes guys, it takes people with balls. It takes Tesco to do these things. It takes Amazon to do these things. It takes Facebook to do these things, and Apple to do these things. Get their hands slapped if they go too far. Get punitive implications are there for these guys if they do things wrong. Mostly in lawsuits from the users. But from your perspective as a consumer, make those decisions. We just want to bring you the facts. You can make an educated decision yourself whether you want to do this. And Amazon, from a business standpoint, they need to do this. They really do.
There you go.
All right. First 3 stories down, buddy. And we're going to move into the guest very quickly. Her name is Janet Hawkins. You and her bump into each other all over the place, all the time. She said she flew back from a ramp with you this time. And so I got to sit down with her this week to talk about Opterus, and literally, I'm not a word of a lie, talk about Bruce Springsteen and Sting. She's a Sting fan. I'm a Springsteen fan. I saw the 2 of them on stage at Amnesty International in 1988 in Montreal, Quebec. And that's where this conversation starts. But we go into what Opterus is and what it means to location-based marketing or location-based services. So here, Janet Hawkins of Opterus.com. Well, it's time for our special guest this week. We have Janet Hawkins, the founder and president of Opterus, based out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Man, I love it. Huge Sting fan. Janet, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much.
It's funny. Sting fan, Springsteen fan, same ilk. I saw Sting on stage with Bruce Springsteen 1988 at the Amnesty International tour in Montreal.
Did not see that. I've seen him every time he's played Toronto since he started his solo career, but I did not see that.
Well, that was amazing. He started Every Breath You Take, obviously, and then it was the first Springsteen time I'd ever seen Springsteen, and outwalked Springsteen on stage, and I'd waited like 8 hours through this whole concert to see this man, and he walked out, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Anyways, it was the greatest moment of my life, and Sting was on stage at the same time. So how's that?
Same feeling. First time I ever saw Sting, Dream of the Blue Turtles tour, first solo album, walked out on stage at Kingswood. I can still, the first time I hear the song, I can smell the concert, I can see him coming out. I'm with you.
All the pot over here? No.
That's concert smell.
It's concert smell, exactly. It's lumped in. Well, listen, we got to talk about your company. Tell me, what is Opterus, and what do you guys do?
Okay, well, I'll give you a little bit about our background first. Myself and one of my partners actually come from the retail operations point of sale world. And it was really there, and his experience, my business partner, as the product manager for the POS, that he heard from a lot of the operations teams that there was a real problem out there with communication. So they came to him saying, "You're the only software in my store. Can you help me solve this?" And the answer was, "No, we're a point of sale company." So he came to me and said, "I think we have a problem out there that really needs to be solved." And then knowing from that background how long it takes to implement retail software, they're huge IT resource heavy projects, we decided that's absolutely not what we want to do. So we decided to build something cloud-based, really simple, really elegant, easy to implement, easy to understand, so the users could start using it right away and you could really start to see a benefit. So we built Store Up Center, that's what it's called, our solution. We built it to be modular, and it's basically to help retailers drive performance and execute tasks. It also impacts their employee and customer satisfaction, obviously goes along with it. So it really is a cloud-based solution specifically designed for retail to help communicate and manage task management and get compliance and accountability on that. So we went to market 2009, not the best year to go to market in retail, but I call us the Bubba Gump shrimp company. We're out there sailing the 2 worst years of retail, and we came through with some wins, and that kept us going and built a really solid product after that. And we built it to be modular, so that we cover the entire retail communications problem, not just pieces of it. So there's a robust task management piece to it, but it also covers off on everything that retail operations needs to communicate to their stores.
I love it. The Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. I love it. It's like,
because I mean, it was a horrible 2 years. We were just so excited. We're starting a new company. We're doing this. We got our financing. We're ready to go. And who thought, oh, wow, no one's going to do anything for the next 2 years regardless, because it was just so horrible economically.
And I don't think it wasn't just retail at that point either. It was the world just kind of stopped because the U.S. stopped spending. And boy, oh boy, was it bad.
And it gave us an opportunity to get a couple of wins, really build a solid project and kind of get a head start on a really good solution that doesn't have a lot of competition still out there.
Why is that, do you think? Like, is it?
I just think it's mostly because operations has been ignored a lot of the times in retail, right? They've sort of been left to their own devices. They communicate with faxes still. Like, it's mind-blowing. They thought email would be the big win, but how do you distribute that with such high turnover? Email really became more of a mess. You get people going in and deleting it when you have one mailbox per store. And no one really knew what to do there. So there's a couple of big task management players out there, but they really come at it from a workforce management background, not an operations background. So they've got huge project-based task management, which is great for some retailers, but they've ignored the whole piece of simple communication. As important as having something done, you also need to know that your employees just read a simple message. And if you've got to go through a whole process to do that, you're not going to do it.
Well, how does location play into this? Obviously, specific locations like the retail location, spread out across the country. Some of the retailers that you're working with are big brands, big chains. So how does the location and mobile play into what you guys are doing?
Well, I think communications is definitely one of the biggest channels for anything that's location-based, right? I mean, how are you going to get compliance on what's being done? Our particular play as far as location goes, I mean, our solution itself is based on who you are, what role you have, what location you're at. And so that at head office, you can get reports on who's doing what in what areas and narrow all that down, and then potentially even make changes on how you're going to send information or who you're going to send it to based on location tags. Or, because one neighborhood might be, good at using something in might culturally different. So you might want to do a different display there than somewhere else, or use different languages, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that piece to it. But really my piece and how it ties into mobility into location is really the execution piece. And it became aware to me when I was looking at your mobile minutes with Chuck. And Chuck told you that little story a few episodes ago about how he tried to use a mobile coupon at a restaurant for breakfast.
It was brutal.
And the poor guy never got his breakfast.
No.
And I tell that story. I was just down at the RAMP conference in Chicago. I told that story to pretty much everyone I talked to. And the story was exactly the same. Every single person said, oh, that happened to me at this retailer. Oh, that happened to me at this retailer. So you got to start thinking about the effort and energy that goes into planning these mobile strategies. You're driving these people into your store. You want them to go into the store and then actually convert and buy something. But you're faced with a bunch of employees that go, I don't know what that is. How do we ring that in? I don't know. So why is your mobile effort failing, your marketing program? Is it because it's a bad program? Or is it because the execution is just failing? So that's the piece where I think we really tie in.
I'm glad Chuck's pain could inspire you, Jen. I'm sure he'd be really happy with that.
That's what we do. We help the people know what's going on. So with our solution, it is role-based. You log in and see only the information that's relevant to you. So it might be relevant to me because of what role I am or what location I'm in. But then I understand, even as a new employee, you can make sure that they see all the prevalent information that was sent out before they started, if a program's still going on. And then you get the compliance piece, the accountability. So I know by doing exception reports that every single person in that store is aware of that program, knows how to process it. The merchandise is set up in the store. So I've come in to see something you told me about and it's not set up. That's a problem too, right? So with our solution, you can make sure all that's done and give your customer, who you're, these frontline associates are the guys that are facing these people you're bringing into your store. You want that to be a smooth, happy experience. So
what kind of impact are you seeing from implementing your software?
Huge, and I have some cheat notes I'll look at too.
Okay.
First off, obviously improved execution, for sure. Efficiencies, gathering information back to head office is improved immensely, right? You're going to get better quality, and you're going to get it faster. consolidating and eliminating some communication, figuring out what is most important, and then enhanced communication at all levels with your regional managers, your district managers. And then we really just provide a one-stop shop. I mean, our solution has simple messaging, task management, surveys and forms, a document library. We even have a knowledge base where some of the buyers can actually put product information, and then underneath, in kind of a social media way, you can allow your employees to kind of say, here's what I do to sell this. And the other guy can go, that really worked for me too. Oh, and mention that this tennis shoe was worn by Andy Roddick, and people will buy it, and blah, blah, blah. So you really start to get kind of a social media sharing, make all your employees as good as your best employee. So there's a ton of modules that you can use that are really going to help retailers become far more efficient and far more productive. And then on the flip side, we have an issues module that then allows the stores, without even knowing who to talk to, but purely by category, to log issues, either tied to a task or communication or ad hoc issues. So you can start to get accountability on your head office supporting your store. So instead of just blaming the store for not having something done, you can say, hey, the display was broken when it got here and I logged it 3 days ago and no one's gotten back to me. So you really get a 360-degree view of everything in your operation and making it far more effective and efficient.
I love it. It just seems like this is an efficiency as time has come. As Asif and I often talk about is that, listen, this technology needs, there's a place for this, there's a time for this, and certainly in this world, what you guys are doing seems to fit that very, very, very clearly. Where should we send people?
www.opterus.com, or they can write to me, janet.hawkins@opterus.com.
So that's it. Go to opterus.com, opterus.com, OPTERUS.com. Janet, thank you so much for being a part of This Week in Location-Based Marketing.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Told you. Started with Springsteen. You can't go wrong with a conversation that starts with Springsteen. Oh my goodness. Janet Hawkins, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like some more information about Opterus, go to opterus.com, OPTERUS.com. Janet, had an amazing conversation. I love this lady. Thank you so much for being on this show. And I am hoping that we actually get to sit down in Toronto and have a beer together, as we should.
Yeah, great company, great product. These guys are, it's an interesting thing. And you and I were talking before about that, sort of closing that loop between, the indoor location stuff and all that data analytics that's coming out and all those companies we talk about, and how you action on that and feed that back into something, that you can actually engage with the employees and stuff through a platform like Opterus. So excited about that. And thanks to Janet for doing that.
Well, I appreciate you putting us in touch, Asif. So go to opterus.com. Awesome company, awesome lady. And now we're back into the stories, man. So how about a little bit of drinky
So this is kind of like two stories in one here, and comes to us from the UK, a company called Drinks for You, and it's spelled drinks number 4 hyphen U, YOU. And then another story that we'll tag onto this called Drink Advisor, which is a bar finder piece. Both coming out of the UK this week. And so the Drinks for You piece is, for me, the interesting part first. And that is, basically, this is a digital loyalty card play for bars. And so the idea is create a system for bars to, track who their loyal patrons are, reward them for, frequenting those particular establishments. And these digital loyalty cards can be completely branded with, the logos and the colors and so on of that particular establishment. And what I like about it is there's a data piece to this, right? There's a lot of analytics that they're giving you in terms of, Facebook check-ins connected to this, who's nearby the bar right now, the ability to do push notifications out to those people to get them into your bar when they're already on your system. So for me, I think about this as a kind of Facebook on steroids for people who have, fan pages already for their bar.
And for people who are loyal drinkers.
Yeah, loyal drinkers. So you're already, if you got a Facebook fan page and you run a bar somewhere in the UK, and now you want to actually engage with those people. This, I talk about all the time when I go out and do my presentations, like I did in Edmonton this week. I talk about trends and I talk about kind of where the industry is going. And one of the things I talk about is the gap between social media and location-based marketing. And for me, this is the kind of thing that helps close that gap. It's, look, I've already invested in Facebook. I've got a fan page. I've got, 10,000 people who say they like me on Facebook, who are, the people who love my bar, come out, hang out, drink, do whatever. Now, the that should be asked by those marketing people is, where are those 10,000 people right now relative to my bar, and how do I get them in more because I know they're there, right? How do I get them to, based on location, to kind of come in and spend? And so this is the kind of thing that does that, right? This is the kind of thing that closes that gap a little bit. And this is what I love about it is that ability to marry up the location piece, know where people are, connect the Facebook check-in piece, have a loyalty component, have an analytics dashboard on the back end that can do all of that, and that's really interesting to me. Then you have, and I'll shut up and hear what you have to say, Rob. Then you have this Drink Advisor thing, basically a database that helps you find bars around you. So this is a social piece, right? The finder piece connected to this. So for me, hey guys, you're both in the UK. Go talk to each other.
Exactly.
See how you can help each other out.
Why aren't you together?
So this one comes from a company called Rylon. Just announced. It's both Apple and Android. And it's the world's largest database, 3,000 of the best bars and clubs reviewed and rated by users in 120 cities, including London, Paris, and New York. So yeah, man, I like these things. Well, I mean, let's drink more.
Well, exactly. Let's make it easy.
Make it easy.
The thing about drinks for me, like drinks for you, drinks for me, was that I like a few things. One of them is that they've been around since 2012. They've raised a little bit of money, about $650,000. But that's here nor there. What I love about this is it's one of the companies that is embracing Passbook. So they've got Passbook integration for their loyalty, and I think that is key, right? Is that you got to make it easy for the user without actually adding additional software requirements, right? Use what people have got, and they have a business model. They charge 50 euros per month to get the first 50 active users covered under this, and then each additional user is €1 a month. And I think
yes.
So I love business models, right? The Drink Advisor is about user aggregation, and Drinks for You is about loyalty. And I think that this plays really well into our resource of the week, which is the difference between retaining customers and going after new customers. And here we got two companies that play in that space, one in each.
Yep.
Good marriage together. So Drinks for You and Drink Advisor. I don't know. I'm thirsty now.
I like it.
I got the thirst.
Yeah, and yeah, the Passbook piece is great, and they also have integration with Android and Samsung Wallet.
Right.
So this thing is connected to everything. So I like it.
Okay, our fifth story, AutoTrader, this company that started obviously in the print space, very clearly in the print space, selling probably in every gas station on the planet and every grocery store on the planet. They partnered with a company called Chatmeter at chatmeter.com, and it's going to use its technology really to understand. I think this is a reputation management piece of software so this is Chatmeter that offers agencies and dealers online review management, social media monitoring, and local SEO analytics at what they call the geo-local level. I want to get your opinion about this as soon as I'm done describing this. But their location-based analytics that from Chatmeter will provide, they say, online review monitoring, which is interesting, but I got to understand the location aspect of this. Social media monitoring, local search rankings, and listing accuracy, and that's very interesting to me, the location, the listing accuracy. And they're going to do it in an easy-to-use dashboard with daily email alerts. So this is, then they also go on to say that they're going to offer some actionable recommendations to improve each location's online visibility and reputation. So how is this? How is Chatmeter really playing in location and geolocation, as they call it, geolocal level? What the hell? It just seems confusing to me.
I mean, like in the previous story, this is a bit of that marriage between the social online world and the location world, right? So, one of the things when you think about reputation management, which is something we don't talk about enough, I think, on as an industry and certainly on this show, we don't talk about it enough. But I mean, it's a big space, and the reality is that as business owners, in this case, car dealerships and so on, the reality is that there is a discussion happening about our business out there, as a business owner. whether and the question becomes, are we choosing to manage that? Are we taking control of it? Are we owning the conversation? All these things in terms of, the reputation that we have out there online and in the digital world and the footprint that we're leaving behind. And so reputation management is essentially that idea of, having a score that says, here's my car dealership in the online world, and here's how it ranks in comparison to, the car dealership around the corner or the competitive brand, and so on and so forth. And so that can become a very local conversation, right? In a location-based context, when you bring it down to that, kind of neighborhood, district, shopping zone, type of discussion to actually like look at car dealerships in a particular, city or suburb of a city and say, okay, here are all the car dealerships in, St. Charles, outside of Chicago. And, there's 3 of them. And here, here's how they're comparing against each other. And maybe this one over here seems to be getting a lot more, to the average guy might look like that's the car dealership out there that everybody's going to. And this guy's selling more cars than the other 2. But when you look at it online and you look at the data, right? And this is about data. This is about, providing real actionable data that says, well, here's why he's actually winning. It's not because, he's selling cars for less. It's because his reputation, his score, his online footprint, his SEO optimization, all those things, he's invested in, and it's coming together. And that's why you're starting to see that traffic. So I think that's where the location piece becomes interesting when you start to benchmark and start to look at, competitive situations in your own neighborhood and area for your business. And that's where, the Chatmeters of the world, can add a lot of value, as can, sort of the bigger social CRM platforms, the Expions,
right.
And the Venue Labs and some of those other guys that we've talked about before, kind of blend those things together. They're not necessarily doing reputation in the purest sense that these guys are, but I think there's a lot of value in that.
I think back to, I think way back to this, the beginning of the show with Chuck Martin about customer service, right? And the challenge that customer service brings to in the mobile industry. And, because we have so much information that is out there. And I think that so much, you can find out really anything about anybody. You want to find out who that person is in front of you. There's a way to find that out. And it's a weird mix here. And I think that especially when it comes to auto dealers, like really, they have a terrible freaking reputation to begin with, right? Is that their sales tactics are ridiculous, and I think that you on top of this, you manage your digital reputation. You also have to manage your entire reputation, and I think that you have to have a combination of this. You cannot just rely on the push mechanism of social and price, because then you become a commodity. You also have to rely on being the good auto dealer and the one who doesn't use the traditional tactics that are being out there. And I think that has a lot to do with it. Your real life
and
cred.
it's any service industry. I mean, like about 2 months ago, I went through the process of trying to figure out. Like, I had to get a new roof on the house. Yeah. Right. It was just time for a new roof, and but I did that whole investigative piece online. I went online. I looked at all the reviews. I went to all the home renovation sites, and I did all that stuff, and looked at it based on my neighborhood. Who are the business? Who are the roofers in the area? What are their reputations? What are their rankings? Reading those reviews, I did all that stuff, right? And then called in a half dozen of them to come and give me quotes, and went through that and compared. So at the end of the day, this stuff plays a big role, and it's very hyper local. It's very geo targeted. Right, I'm not looking at roofers, from an hour away. I'm looking at roofers that are in the area.
And maybe that's the challenge that I have with AutoTrader, is that it's one aspect of it, but people are buying cars on eBay now from across the country. And in Canada, a lot of people are buying in the States and driving them in and paying the taxes because it's still cheaper. So it may not be a hyper local buy, right? If I want my car in gray or green or red, I'm going to find that car, and I don't care if it's in Vancouver or Florida, right? And I think that's
that's happening, but I can't imagine the numbers are that high on that.
No, but they'll change. Like, we're becoming a global marketplace. Pretty soon, we're actually going to be able, the U.S. is going to be able to sell cars to Cuba and replace those 1950s
But that
cabs.
makes the assumption. That what you said at the beginning, Rob, doesn't matter so much, which is the customer service piece.
Yes. Yeah. I think that does. And you know, oftentimes, like I bought a Mazda from the same dealer because, right? And year over year over year over year, and my family has bought the same Mazda from, you know, Mazdas from the same dealer year over year. And I think, you know, for a long time we all went to this you know, garage for our cars, and we put like his 19 kids through school, right, because of our cars. So I think that there's something also around that local nature that, you know, you emulate what your parents did, and you maybe buy cars that your parents did, and you kind of, and the natural place to go is where they bought those cars. And I think that that's the hyperlocal piece. And then it's about,
and you can't underestimate that service piece, right? Yeah, I mean, that is huge, so especially in this business. I mean, I'll tell you, like I bought cars from the same place the last 3 times.
Yeah.
And what got me, I mean, I was already committed to these guys anyways, but what really sort of stuck with me and hit home with me is I went in there, and I took my old car in, and I bought a new car from these guys, and when it came the day to pick up the new car, I got in the car, I turned on the radio, okay?
Yes.
And the radio presets, they had looked at my previous presets on my car and set all the presets on my new car for me to match what my old presets were.
Small things, eh?
Didn't ask me, I mean, like, it's those little things, right? You buy a car on eBay, that ain't happening.
No.
So,
and I'm 100% with you, and you develop a trust with these guys, but that's it. Like, get the cheesy crap out of the way, and then you create a relationship with these guys. So key. Yeah. So AutoTrader, I don't even know. You know, we started there with AutoTrader with Chatmeter, but just remember that the digital side is important because we're doing research online. But that buy decision also has a lot to do with the cheese factor of the sales guy in your shop. So make sure you adjust the cheese as well as you adjust your social media monitoring and digital footprint.
There you go.
5th story. All right, hit the 6th story, and then we can get onto the resource.
All right, one more. So this comes from my good friends at L'Oreal in the U.S.
Yes, I see you're wearing some today. The foundation is.
I know. So this is a thing called the Intelligent Color Experience, and was launched in New York subway stations. The MTA made this happen. And so what they did is they realized when you look at a subway platform, you know, there's spaces in there that are like, you know, you can't put retail stores in there, like they're just awkward corners and you know, small areas that you can't set up a store in. So, but you know, how do we get more revenue out of the system was the MTA's question. Well, let's look at ways to use digital screens and other things in there and see if we can create new platforms around this. So the Intelligent Color Experience is one of those. And so effectively, it's a bunch of screens and a vending machine that all come together. And so you walk up to the first piece of this, and it's basically like a virtual mirror, and you see yourself in this thing, and the screen's reading, you know, what you're wearing and what you look like and all that kind of stuff. You know, we're not face scanning, but we're kind of looking at that kind of stuff. And then it's able to make product recommendations to you based on your outfit and what you're wearing for L'Oreal product, cosmetics and such. You know, it might recommend a lipstick. It might recommend, some kind of nail polish, or a combination of things. And then you can actually buy this product from the vending machine that's built into this display. So I like this combination of how they're tying these things together. I think this is a great branding, piece for L'Oreal around these new products that they're launching around this particular campaign. I'm not sure they're actually going to sell a lot of product from a vending machine like this. But in terms of exposing the brand and doing it in a place like a subway station where there's like thousands and thousands of people every day in New York City, this is a good move.
And I'm going to assume that the real estate to have that there is very low cost, right? So that you've got high traffic and low, marginally low cost. And I think, and I'm like you, is that I think that, L'Oreal is pushing the boundaries. I love the unique nature, the innovation around this, the fact that they scan and, look at your color palette and make some assessments for you and make some recommendations. But I'm with you. I don't know that the subway is the right place to be buying this kind of stuff. You're there, and I realize that impulse buys, Subway is impulse buys. So vending machines, I understand that. Groceries, I understand that. This kind of stuff, I don't understand it unless, can I hold up a picture of my wife and say, like, I need to come home with something from L'Oreal, and then can you scan this picture and tell me what I should get? So I think that there's there's a time and a place for this, and L'Oreal is not an impulse buy, right? So, you know, if I have 4 minutes, that's a tough sell for me. So I love the ingenuity around this. I love the innovation around this. I just don't know that the subway is the right spot, especially on the tracks where they're doing it.
Now, I mean, at least they designed this so that it actually matches with the time that you have. The whole experience, as they've described it, takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Including actually getting the product out of the vending machine.
Amazing. It's amazing.
So this is all really, really fast. And so, I mean, yeah, if you're waiting for a subway, I mean, 2 minutes is reasonable, right?
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I think it's cool. It makes sense. But for me, this is about branding. This is about exposing people to a new product. Yes, they'll sell some stuff. Yes, there's a cool novelty factor. I'm sure, that vending machine will be pushing some product out. And it's the holiday season. People are dressing, differently. They're at holiday parties. They're, So I get all that, and I think this is good. Again, kind of like Tesco. Kudos to these guys for trying technology and pushing the boundaries a little bit around this kind of stuff, and in this case, getting their brand front and center.
I wonder. It's funny because we would not be covering L'Oreal, and the tech mags that covered this story would not be covering L'Oreal, except for the fact that they've done something a little bit innovative around the technology, color matching and all those kind of things. So I wonder as well, when you start to think about the technology that's in place and the requirements that these retailers are going to have going forward, I wonder if this is not also just a great recruiting opportunity in a media center, a media savvy space like New York, to do two things. Obviously, it's for recruiting of technologists, right? So people that are going to work for L'Oreal and help push the company forward, as well as, like, if you think about what is in New York City, it's not by mistake that they launched in New York City, because every single newspaper and every single magazine emanates, the big ones emanate from New York City, and this is certainly a worthwhile conversation piece. So, I do believe that this is about brand building as well as looking for, the next great hires and making sure that L'Oreal stays on people's radar. And so from that standpoint, well worth it. Who cares if the machine works or not? But it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? It might also be this great thing is, like, what's the threshold to buy? Like, I love these. Maybe this is a great experiment in is 2 minutes too short, right? To be able to make this transaction. We know that we can, but is the human behavior not allowing us to make this? Do we think that the price point that we charge L'Oreal products versus the time it takes to buy, there's an imbalance there? So I think this could be an amazing experiment, and maybe now I'm looking at it differently, and maybe now I love it if they're doing it that way.
Yeah.
So I've just talked myself full circle. L'Oreal, you rock.
There you go. You're all about it now, Rob.
I love it. I will never buy anything from it, but I love the experiment, if that's what it is. So L'Oreal is using this intelligent color experience in the subways in New York City. If you've used it, let us know. If you bought product, we'd love to know. We'd love to know. Love to know. All right, those are the 6 stories. That is our Mobile Minute with Chuck Martin. It is about our app of the week, which we focused on Knock. Last thing to talk about is this resource of the week, which is, I guess, the balance between attracting or retaining customers, and where should we be focusing?
Yeah, a nice little infographic, exactly that. Attracting and retaining new customers with mobile technology is the name of this, and it was put together by a group called the Merchant Warehouse, along with some data from Forbes, eMarketer, and Flowtown. Pretty nice little piece here. I mean, we know the importance of retention, being paramount, I would say, over acquisition in many cases, right? It's a lot harder to keep people, right? And I think we need to turn our focus to that. So, the aspects of loyalty, like we were just talking about earlier with the drinks for you piece, is huge, right? According to Flowtown, one of the stats in here, acquiring new customers is 6 times more costly than retaining a current one. So that's interesting. The Forbes data is interesting too in here. There's a sizable opportunity for business owners who have yet to implement or fully develop loyalty programs. 2 billion loyalty programs in total out there. 2 billion loyalty programs.
2 billion. Yeah. And what was the number there? I don't have it in front of me, but the average number of loyalty programs that the average household is a part of is like 23? 8. Okay, I was way off. Yeah, 8.
Yeah. 8 programs actually used. That's how many an average household actually uses, but they have 18.
Yeah, 18. Okay, that was the number.
So it's interesting. So some great data in here, and we'll have this up on the research page of the LBMA site as well.
So I took offense to one thing, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, and you can see what it is the NFC coupon redemption. I just kind of, it was a what the fuck moment for me. Is like they're pushing it in there about saying, listen, you know what, maybe it's time for you as a retailer to think about NFC coupon as a way to redeem, or NFC as a way to redeem coupons, and about how NFC is a payment platform. And so it's midway through. I think that that is the wrong message to be pushing out, because we know that NFC is not a payment platform. It can do a bunch of things, but if you're a retailer and you're thinking about getting into the space, you should not bank on NFC for payments. You shouldn't bank on anything for payments right now, and you shouldn't be doing NFC coupon redemption. I think that's a false thing. Just because the number of devices out there have this in there, it is not ready. It is not prime time. You'd be wasting your money at this point. So I don't agree with that at all. It was one of those moments where I think that the rest of it is sound, but when they're making recommendations about NFC, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that, and I think it's NFC is just one technology, right? And I certainly don't think it's the lead one at the moment. So yeah, I think that's an interesting statement to be making on their part. But I wonder anyhow, nonetheless, some good data in there.
Well, I like it. I mean, it just paints a great picture, but that NFC thing is wrong. Maybe if they bring it up a layer, right, is that think about mobile payments. You should be thinking about, coupon redemption on the device, and not recommending a technology. I think that's not the right approach for this. But so we'll have that up at thelbma.com/research, and you can obviously, wherever these show notes, you find these show notes on tether.tv. This is episode number 155. You'll find a link to it as there as well. And I've shown you a couple of screen grabs here if you've been watching the video. So that is our resource of the week, and that, my friend, is episode 155.
All right.
Done.
Next week we will have our cake and candles and celebrate.
3 candles, man.
3 candles.
3 candles. See, if we have to try to figure out a way to do a live broadcast in front of the 3 or 4 people that will come out to something like that. So we got to figure that out. Whether it's Toronto, whether it's Ottawa, whether it's midway through, I don't care. Kingston,
we'll figure it out.
Brockville, whatever. If we have to meet in Chicago or San Francisco to do it, we'll do it. But we have to figure that out. All right, you folks out there listening, fine people. Maybe there's some new listeners actually from UX Camp this past weekend, maybe from Edmonton. We really appreciate the fact that you come here each and every week, or you will be coming here each and every week. Best way to do this, subscribe through whatever podcasting software that you have. You'll get it in your inbox, no effort. Piece of cake. Just put on your headphones, listen to Asif and I. And here's a pro tip. If you're listening to the audio, man, just put it on to double speed. You will get what you need out of it, and it will be half the time that it consumes of your day. I'm not saying to do that for everything, but we sound really, really awesome at double speed, and the information comes out the same way. You get what you need. If you need an indexed version of this podcast on tether.tv, I list it all out. It's clickable links to the stories, the individual stories, so you can jump throughout the entire episode, and you don't have to listen to the whole thing if you don't want to. Just get what you need out of it. That's all we're asking for you. And if you love it, do 2 things for me. 1, give us a star rating. Go into wherever you're getting this from, downloading it from iTunes or wherever, and go in there and give us a rating. Leave us a nice comment. That's our currency. We'd appreciate it if you did that. And if you have a question about the location world, location-based marketing, contextual marketing, node marketing, mobile, sensors, whatever the hell it is, go to untether.tv/talk. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play the voicemail here. We will answer your question. We will take the time, and we will make sure that it gets answered totally to the top of our knowledge. And so we'd appreciate it if you did 1 or 2 of those things. And I think that's it. I'm done. I'm spent.
I think we're good.
I've had a long weekend. We will be back next week for episode number 156. And we'll see you next week on This Week in Location-Based Marketing. Asif, have a great week, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Cheers.